Hi and welcome to a new tutorial on my channel. I'm Andrea and I like to make crochet and Tunisian crochet patterns and tutorials for you that you will find here on YouTube, and many of them are free on my blog on yarnandy.com. In this tutorial I will show you how to make a hat with a nice honeycomb textured stitch pattern, and I will use some chunky yarn. You can use any yarn you want for this pattern and just work to the measurements that you will find on my blog for many head sizes. So if you know your head size, you can use those numbers and a ruler or a tape measure to make the hat the size that you need. For this tutorial I will be using some chunky merino wool and a 6mm hook, but you can use any combination of yarn and hook size that gives you a nice fabric, because you can use this pattern to make any size of hat you like. And when you use a thicker yarn, of course, the motifs will be bigger, and when you use a thinner yarn, the motifs will be smaller, but that's the only difference that you will have. The first part of the hat will be the circle, which is at the crown, and we will make this like we make all double crochet circles. We start with a magic ring, which is just a loop with the tail in front. Insert the hook, pick up a loop, chain 1, and then we make a standing double crochet and 11 double crochet stitches in the magic ring. So we draw up a tall loop, yarn over using this tall loop, insert the hook in the magic ring, pick up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and then 11 double crochet stitches for a total of 12. Pull on the magic ring, and then we will pull on this later on to close it better, but you should have 12 stitches here, and slip stitch into the top of the standing stitch. And if you don't know how to make this standing double crochet stitch, I have a separate tutorial. Now we continue by increasing 12 stitches on each row until we reach the desired circumference or the desired diameter, and you have all the values for the diameters in the blog post. So we start with 2 double crochet stitches in each stitch, and to do that we have 1 standing double crochet stitch in the first stitch, and then a double crochet stitch in the same stitch, and then we make 2 double crochet stitches in each of the next 11 stitches, and we finish by doing a slip stitch into the top of the standing double crochet stitch. For this pattern we are only working on one side of the fabric, so we don't turn at the end of each round, and the reason for that is that it's easier to make the honeycomb part. On the next row you will increase in the first stitch and then make 1 double crochet stitch in the next stitch, and then on the next row you increase again in the first stitch and make 2 double crochet stitches and then increase again. So this is just a basic circle. I will make mine as big as needed for my head, which is 52 centimeters. So the diameter I need is about 16.5 centimeters. So when you reach back to the beginning of the round, you slip stitch into the top of the first stitch and continue increasing 12 stitches per row, evenly distributed. So we repeat 2 double crochet stitches in 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet stitch. So I'll meet you back when my diameter is big enough to start the stitch pattern. Now when the circle is big enough, mine measures 16.5 centimeters across, so that's the diameter, then you start working on the textured part of the hat. And the magic thing about this pattern is that you can make it in any gauge and any size because you have a multiple of 12 stitches and the pattern is a multiple of 4 stitches. So you will always have a way to work this pattern no matter what yarn thickness and hook size you use. Now that we have this circle, we will start working on the tube part of the hat. And for that we don't have any increases, we just work straight. There are 4 rows in the pattern repeat. The first one is a repeat of 1 double crochet. So the first one is a standing double crochet. Then we have a bead cluster and 2 double crochet stitches. To make the bead cluster, we yarn over. Insert the hook behind the next stitch and pick up a loop. Chain 1. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now we yarn over again and insert the hook into the top of the same stitch. Pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. This creates a post stitch here in the front, but also keeps the fabric smooth, intact, so there are no holes for your head to get cold. Now we have 2 more double crochet stitches. And that's the first repeat. We do this all around. So we have 1 double crochet stitch, 1 bead cluster. We go around the next stitch, pick up loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert the hook into the top of that stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And then 2 double crochet stitches. I will repeat this all around and I will meet you back when I reach the last stitch to show you the next row. When you finish the row, as always, slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. And now we start the second row. And we have 3 double crochet stitches. The first stitch is always a standing stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. And the next stitch is an A cluster. To make an A cluster, we yarn over, insert the hook behind the front post of the B cluster before, draw up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch on the previous row, couple loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then yarn over, insert the hook behind the front post of the next B cluster. Pick up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we yarn over, pull through 4 to finish the cluster. This makes 2 diagonals here on the surface of the fabric, and we also have the double crochet in the background, so there are no gaps. And then we repeat this. We have 3 double crochet stitches. And 1 cluster and 1 A cluster. So we yarn over, insert the hook behind the front post of the B cluster before, pick up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we make the half of the double crochet in the next stitch here, and then we do the last leg of the cluster. And then yarn over, pull through all of the stitches. We repeat this all around and I will get back to you when I reach the last A cluster to show you how to make it before we slip stitch into the top of the first stitch to start the next row. When you reach the end of the row and you have to make the next cluster, you yarn over and do the first leg as usual. Make the second leg as usual. And for the third leg, you yarn over and insert the hook behind the front post of this bee cluster, but before or above the first leg of the first A cluster in the row, so that you maintain the pattern here and the join is invisible. And then you slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. So that's the end of the row, and now we start row 3. We have 3 double crochet stitches, and the first one of which is a standing double crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3. And the next one is a bee cluster. Now to make the bee cluster, we don't have 1 stitch to go around here like we did before with the double crochet stitches. We yarn over and insert the hook behind the 2 diagonal legs of the A cluster below. And then we draw up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we yarn over and we insert the hook into the top of that same cluster, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So we have the same thing as we did here, except now we work around the 2 front posts here to bring them out. Then we just repeat this all around, 3 double crochet stitches, and then a bee cluster. So we repeat this all around, and I will see you in a bit when I have to make the last bee cluster and then finish the row. I've reached the end of the row here, and I will make the last bee cluster. So like before, pick up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and make the double crochet in the back and slip stitch to the top of the first stitch to finish the row. That is the end of row 3, and the next row we have 1 double crochet stitch, or in this case a standing double crochet stitch. Then we have an A cluster, so we yarn over, insert the hook behind the front bar of the B cluster before, make the extended double crochet, the double crochet in the middle, and then the next extended double crochet in the cluster. This is the same stitch as before. And then we have 2 double crochet stitches to finish the repeat. That's a 4 stitch repeat. So we have 1 double crochet, an A cluster, and 2 double crochet stitches. We repeat this all around, and you end up with a row of these hexagons or honeycomb cells. Just like before, when you reach the last A cluster, you do the beginning as normal. Middle, normal, and then for the end, you scoot down this diagonal from the first A cluster and then insert the hook behind the front post of the B cluster in front and above this diagonal here, and finish the cluster. And then there are 2 double crochet stitches to make. slip stitch to the first stitch. And now repeat these 4 rows with the B cluster, and then A cluster, B cluster, A cluster, until you reach the desired length of your hat, not counting also the brim. In the case of the yellow hat, I made this many repeats. In the case of the gray hat, I will make fewer repeats, but the overall length will be the same. And on the blog you also have some measurements. Of course you can use your own measurements, but the measurements are based on the hat sizes that I designed for. So you'll have a measurement for this length before you start the ribbing. So I will continue repeating these 4 rows until I reach this length, and then I will show you how to make one version of ribbing which has just front post stitches and back post stitches, or you can use a sideways style of ribbing like I have here. So I will see you in a few seconds for you with the finished textured part of the hat. You should stop on a repeat of row 1 or 3 so that you can start the ribbing, and you can make the ribbing sideways like this with short rows attached to these, or you can make a ribbing that continues from the current pattern. And the reason why you want to add ribbing is because the fabric tends to curl upwards like this because of the post stitches. So I will show you how to make the back post and front post double crochet type of ribbing, which is not elastic, but it looks nice. If you use this, you can later on add a nice lining on the inside, and I have a separate tutorial for that. So the ribbing is just 1 row that you repeat as many times as you need to reach the width of the brim that you like, and each row starts with a standing back post double crochet stitch. So we draw up the tall loop, hold on to it and yarn over, and then we insert the hook in front of the post of the stitch below from the back. Then we drop a loop, keep holding on to that loop there. Then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then next we have a front post double crochet, and we work around the front post of the B cluster. So we yarn over, insert the hook behind the post of the B cluster, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and then we just make back post, front post, back post, front post. So we go from the back towards the front to make a back post double crochet stitch, and from the front to make a front post double crochet stitch. And we repeat this all around, ending with a front post double crochet stitch. Then we slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. So again, back post double crochet stitch. We come from the back, and for the front post we go behind the front post of the B cluster. And this will create this ridge structure that is the same on both sides, so that there will be no more curling of this fabric. And then when you're finished, you can just make an invisible join and weave in the ends to finish the hat. Now I will show you how to do that when I'm done with my ribbing. When the ribbing is finished, don't make the last slip stitch, but cut the yarn and pull the end through the last stitch, and get a tapestry needle to make the invisible stitch here. Okay, so to make the invisible stitch, we will duplicate the top of the first stitch here by going under the 2 bars at the top of the second stitch, and then back into the last stitch. So now there is a smooth side here, and you can weave in the end on the back. I'm going to pin this for now, and that's it. That's the finished hat. And this is what the ribbing looks on the inside. this is what the fabric looks like on the inside. So the inside is smooth, the ribbing is the same on both sides. Now I recommend that you do this with a slightly fluffier yarn and maybe a thinner yarn. This is a very hefty hat, but it would be perfect for someone who lives in a very cold climate, especially if you add the fleece lining on the inside. As you can see, it no longer rolls here because the ribbing has the same type of stitches on both sides. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you will give it a try. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!